Hello everyone, I just wanted to go over where the build is at right now. It's nearly completed. I mean, I might not even optimize it much more than this, but I just wanted to show you where I've come to. I'm level 99. I got a bunch of circles on my tree, so you know the build's good. It's extremely tanky, it has really good clear, and its single target is pretty good for Chaos DoT. Just, I mean, it is what it is. So let's get right into it. So I have changed a lot, and there's a lot to cover in this video, but I'll break down each thing one at a time. Basically, one thing that hasn't changed much is my flasks and my armor. It's still just armor energy shield, and then we are using life also, because with the Burden of Truth crystal belt, basically 33% of all damage, including chaos, hits our life, and 66% of all damage, including chaos, hits our energy shield. So basically, with the ratio of life to shield we have now, when we get hit with something, both of these go down the same amount, like visually, just because of how that ratio split is. So yeah, the defenses are basically the same. We just scaled them higher, more life, more energy shield, more armor. We did get some maximum resistances, but that's basically the only thing that changed on the defenses. We got a little bit more spell block, and we are capped out on attack block. We picked up a Storm Shroud Jewel, and I'll show you how we're getting the shock avoidance for that. But yeah, the build's really tanky. We get a lot of energy shield regeneration from Divine Shield and this mastery here. So that's how we get a lot of our energy shield back while we're still in combat. And also, we still can use our flask with the Supreme Decadence. It's usually a keystone, but it just is on this item here. So we can also recover a good bit of our life pool with our Divine Flask and also our energy shield. So I guess that is one of the hardest things in this setup, is when you're splitting your energy shield and your life, you need multiple ways to recover both of them. So that does seem to take a lot of investment, but it just kind of worked out here. This notable right here that you get on a small cluster jewel is really good to recover 2% of your energy shield when you kill a cursed enemy. And any enemy that we hit with Soul Rend is cursed with Despair, and also this makes it so Despair can affect hexproof enemies, so that's just a DPS increase against hexproof enemies, and we don't have to take the Ascendancy here that you would usually take. And so that's how we get all of our energy shield pull back in combat, but basically we get all of our life back from our suffixes on our gear. We have life regeneration on everything here except our chest. And we also, this is a very important stat that I didn't realize that I was getting from my amulet before, but when I got rid of my amulet and switched it out for my focused amulet, I lost the gain life per enemy killed mod that I had on that, and just mapping was way worse because we use our life pool to cast our abilities. So we were just losing too much life. I wasn't dying, but it just was way sketchier, and I would just notice my life pool would be down really far, and that wasn't good. So I had to get a gain life per enemy killed suffix on my gloves. Or you could really gain it on anything. It doesn't have to be your gloves. Okay, for the stuff that has changed, you can see that I switched from my War Staff, my Cane of Unraveling, to a rare staff that I crafted. It gets a ton of levels to Chaos Spell Skill Gems. It has a decent amount of increased damage, and then a ton of damage over time multiplier. And then I also get all my cast speed on the build from this, because just the crafted suffix here is actually pretty good if you consider that this wheel here only gives you 18% cast speed. This is almost double that. So we could just get those points back and put them on our staff. But when you change to a staff, you lose the 25% chance to block attack damage, and it changes to spell damage. So to fix our block and get even more attack block, or that actually gives us more spell block than we had before, from 73, I think it was, to 78. But now I picked up this Red Nightmare Jewel on the build, where it changes stats that are fire resistance or all elemental resistance. You get, well, it doesn't change them, you still get those resistances, but it also gives you a chance to block attack damage at 50% of the value. So you can see I tattooed fire resistance tattoos on here, which are actually more expensive than I thought at the time. They were 50 chaos, they might have gone down by now, or up, I guess. And then also there is all elemental resistances here. If you don't have a Thread of Hope, you just take the useless node of increased elemental damage. and then this is 6% attack block, and then also this notable that we already had is another 4% attack block. So that's how we get to 73 attack block, and then you can tattoo on chance to block attack damage here for your last 2% to cap out at 75%. You can see we have a ton of tattoos on our tree. It literally looks like I strung up Christmas lights right here. It actually looks so cool. And we can do that because we do not need attributes, because we have Supreme Ostentation from our Timeless Jewel commemorated to Caspero. Yeah, I think that's how you say it. But that makes it so we don't get any benefits from our attributes, like our strength doesn't give us life anymore, and our intelligence doesn't give us energy shield or mana. But we don't have to worry about putting any suffixes on our gear of attributes, which we would need a lot. We need 173 strength. We need a decent amount of dex somewhere. Only 79 dex, but yeah. Getting 173 strength takes a lot of investment, and it makes it hard to fit in really good amulets and rings and stuff. So this is just almost always really good on a Chaos Dot build. You don't always need it, but once you get into high investment, this seems to solve a lot of problems for me. This Elegant Hubris Timeless Jewel is giving us a lot of other stuff too. It's giving us a lot of increased damage. Like these nodes here are giving us more increased damage than like these 3 nodes on a cluster jewel. This is only 72% increased damage. Obviously a cluster jewel is giving us 2 jewel sockets also, and this is basically taking two jewel sockets from us, since I'm using an impossible escape to get a bunch of notables in this radius. But this is just a lot of value. Also, I was just only getting 4 notables of increased damage. Either minion or spell damage work for us because of Spiritual Aid. And so that's like 320% increased damage. But I did find a really good Elegant Hubris that gave me endurance charges every second when you're hit. When you're hit. So you can actually, you don't have to, but you can self-hit yourself with Forbidden Right. And you'll see I will gain an endurance charge for 4 seconds. Every second, and then the endurance charges will start counting down, and if I get hit again, then they'll just start counting back up. It happens every single time you're hit. So I mean, in maps you're getting hit all the time, so these will just sustain, but I just have a weapon swap Forbidden Right in case I want endurance charges before I go into a fight. I was just also using that to show you. So that's how we get endurance charges on the build. When I hit level 100, I will grab this endurance charge here. And then I am also getting my chance to avoid being shocked from this. Like, this is 80% chance to avoid being shocked. Like, I don't need a flash suffix. I don't need to essence craft my boots to get chance to avoid being shocked. This notable is just giving me 80%. And then you just put the lesser Eldritch Iker, or whichever one it is for the Exarch, the red ones. You just the cheapest one will give you the rest of the chance to avoid being shocked for full elemental ailment immunity on Storm Shroud. Then the last thing I'm grabbing on this Elegant Hubris is attack speed. This was I didn't even know this was here. It just was. So I grabbed it because it speeds up our leap slam. And with the Elegant Hubris and this node here, where we get 10% increased attack speed, that's like 25% increased attack speed. So I could drop all these nodes to going to Spiritual Command for a bunch of attack speed from the minion attack speed nodes. So that saved me some passives there. I like having at least some movement in the build. With flasks and everything, it's not too slow. If the flasks go down, it's kind of rough. Sadly, this build cannot switch to a Mage Blood setup like this. You'll just die to chaos damage because you won't really have much going for you then. I mean, you probably can, but it's just going to make the build worse overall, but feel better. I'm pretty sure this build just has to swap to a whole nother setup for Mage Blood. Basically, a low-life Chevron's energy shield stacking type setup that I've made before is perfect for Mage Blood. You can get a ton of armor because of Mage Blood, so you can get rid of this for Chevrons. And then the last jewel I added on this build is the Thread of Hope. The Massive Ring, I double corrupted a few. I bricked, let me see, where are they? I bricked 3 in a row, so that was awesome. But then I got this one, really hot. Increased reservation efficiency, and you cannot be maimed. Those are, I mean, I don't think I could ask for much better. besides like maybe corrupted blood immunity. And the mana reservation is actually coming in kind of clutch because the only mana that we use is for Leap Slam and Frostblink. Frostblink takes a lot of mana to cast, but you can just run a lower level Frostblink and that'll be fine to solve your mana problems. I was taking the mana reservation here before, so you could also solve the mana that way. But everything else, we use our life to cast, as I said, so it's not too big of a deal. But otherwise, I'm getting a lot of value out of these nodes. I am getting 30% increased damage, attack and cast speed. That's awesome. I don't have to take the increased elemental damage while I take this from my attack block. This 2% all res, 5% movement speed, and then 20% life from these nodes, and you could even pick up more life if you wanted. This node gives you life and armor. I think the rest is just life and nothing else. But yeah, just really good value out of that, so that's why I picked it up. I do think I might go for a cluster jewel here for one more jewel socket, but I really don't know what I'm going to put in it, so maybe I won't do it, because basically to do that, you would get rid of these energy shield nodes and then tattoo on energy shield instead of chaos damage on all these nodes to make up for that you just got rid of, and then you get all your chaos damage back from the cluster jewel and you get another socket. So that's probably the last optimization I'll put on. I just got to think about what jewel to put in. I'm not a huge believer in just rare jewels, but maybe I can use it to fix some resistances or something. Problems getting resistances, you can just not have life regeneration on one of your pieces of gear and it'll probably be fine. And also you could spend like 2 points here for 13% all res. And for the skills that I'm still using Soul Rend as my clear. I'm using Essence Drain as a little extra damage against single target, and also when I'm fighting single target and casting a lot of Soul Rends and they're not dying to give me life gained on kill, then you can see my health starts to go down. When I cast Essence Drain on them, my health's not going down, so it's really helpful to that. And then lastly, for some more single target damage, we have Blight of Contagion. I haven't 6-linked this yet, mostly because I'm lazy, and I guess you have to get rid of something on the build, and basically you either have to self-cast Molten Shell, or you have to get rid of the attack speed from Momentum and your Leap Slam slower. So on top of being lazy, I just kind of don't want to get rid of anything, but you can 6-link this and do more single target damage than I have on my build. For the Grafts on the build, I just have this one that creates an Ice Tornado still, and I got suffixes on it that make it do a lot of damage because this is helping our single target damage. The suffixes are gain cold damage as extra chaos damage. Since we do a bunch of minus chaos resistance, this is actually, it synergizes at least a little bit. And then also increased damage on the skill. And then for the prefixes, increased projectile speed is really huge. It's actually kind of hard to get increased projectile speed. So getting this much here is a huge help for Soul Rend, because if you have none, Soul Rend can like trail behind you. Like even still, I can kind of get ahead of it, and that's really annoying for clear. If you have none, it's just really rough. So this is a huge help. And then I have the other graft. It's the one that I had earlier still. It just makes a lightning clone go out and hit an enemy, explode, and leave shocked ground. And it gives us a little bit of increased damage. And then we have minions deal increased damage, which also gives us damage. All right, so for how I got my gear, almost all the armor gear is just from the Giving Tree, or people who got the gear from the Giving Tree. You just buy it in softcore. Mostly, you just got to worry about life and resistances on gloves, boots, and helmet, and you got to worry about your defense mods on the prefixes of your chest piece. And then, yeah, resistances and life regen on the rest, like I already said. For the staff, I will go over on how to craft this. There is also a video from Subtractem, who will probably go into more depth on how to craft this, or other budget versions of the staff. Again, I still think the Cane of Unraveling War Staff is really good, and you should use that first, because you don't need this jewel at all for block, which is kind of expensive, and the tattoos are kind of expensive. So I'll show you that video, but I'll show you how I crafted this also. For the ring here, it's actually so easy to craft. It's expensive and can fail in a lot of parts, so it's frustrating, but it's easy to craft when you have the currency to do it. It's just a Delirium Essence to get damage over time multiplier, then you have to fracture that, and then you use a Envy Essence to get the increased chaos damage, and you then use a catalyst. You put on a bunch of mods that will not matter if they become negative, and then you use a reflecting mist to hopefully get a higher value on the ring. It's just a lot of damage. It sucks for not using a Calandra's Touch, but this is just the easiest way to get Despair on hit. And also, this is the only way to get Despair on hit that is like high level, because all other Despair on hit mods are like level 1 Despairs. So this is just a lot of increased damage for us too. Okay, I'm going to show you how to craft this amulet. It's just a +4 to Chaos Skills amulet. It's really easy. It's a little expensive, but it really can't fail when you get done Chaos. Well, that's such a lie. You have to Chaos spam and annul. You'll see. It's really easy craft though. So you get a focused amulet and item level 82 at least. And what we're going to do is you just Chaos spam until you either get all spell skills to land on the amulet or damage over time multiplier to land on the amulet. So we'll say damage over time amulet or landed right here at tier 1. Obviously, we don't settle. And what you're going to do is annul off the other 2 mods just like this. And obviously, if you fail, you just have to chaos spam until you get those to appear again. And all you do is this will be suffixes cannot be changed because you don't want to delete this. And then we are going to Harvest Craft, add and remove a chaos mod, which is like, it's probably going to be like 2 divines to do this. And then you just get +2 level to all chaos skills and then 50 damage over time multiplier. So that's really good. Or you go for the all spell skills. I would just go to whatever's first if you're like on a budget, obviously. I think both are probably about the same amount of damage, but obviously if you got the level of all skill gems to appear and just whatever other random mods like this, you're going to just annul until they go away. Super lucky. And then same thing, prefixes cannot be changed since this is a prefix that we want to protect. And Harvest Craft, add remove chaos, and guarantees that. And I like this better because then you can craft on suffixes, you can craft on cast speed, resistances, whatever else. I think you can even, let me see. I think you can, prefixes cannot be changed. Reforge speed for guaranteed cast speed, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a lot of cast speed right there, but you might get a low tier. Does tier 1 roll on an 82 amulet? Let me see. It does. So this is just a good, like, settle craft. I don't think you can make the old chaos damage over time amulet with a hunter influence anymore, because you used to have to turn the amulet magic after you got the level of all skill gems on it, and then you would imprint it with the Beastcraft. And I think that's what they nerfed this league, if I'm not mistaken. Someone tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't see any magic amulets on the trade site, so I feel like I'm right. So if you wanted to make like an amulet like this, I think what you actually have to do is do this craft and then do the damage over time multiplier craft and then just recombinate them together and hope it all slams together, all 3 mods with the regular damage over time. I'm pretty sure that's how you make a perfect chaos dot damage over time amulet. The other option that I saw someone else do on PoE Ninja, they just reflecting misted this with a +1 minimum frenzy charges craft. So you have to hit these both as the same positive or negative, and then it has to hit the like 2 times damage, or not the 2 times damage, but the 2 times multiplier on the reflecting mist, and then it'll turn into a +8 skills amulet, which is crazy and definitely as good. I think it was not as good on my build as getting damage over time multiplier on a suffix, but it just depends on your build and how much damage over time and like diminished returns you got on your build, of course. Okay, so for the staff craft, the best bases are the Lethai or the quarterstaff, but really you can use any staff that has at least 22% chance to block spell damage, and that's because we are 4% over, so not getting a perfect spell damage roll is just fine on a staff. The reason quarterstaff Lethai are the best is because they have the highest attacks per second, and that will make our leap slam faster, so that's why we do those. You need to get a level 82 staff with damage over time multiplier here. Fractured. And you can see damage over time multiplier starts rolling tier 1 at level 82. It's basically 82. It's the only one. You just chaos spam if you're going to make this fully yourself until you get damage over time multiplier, and then fracture it. But really, you just buy one. There are ways to buy a fracture damage over time multiplier on a higher level base, because it's very unlikely that someone's going to have exactly item level 82 for the tier 1 dot multi fracture. You can get a higher level base and recombinate a lower level base to get it to under level 82 and hope that you get the right base. Well, because you need this base to land on the recombination to then have the fracture dot multi actually have a chance to appear. And it needs to stay within level 77, I think, because that's when the level of all chaos spell skill gems land. But yeah, there you go with all that. And also, we are going to use now, let me show you a fossil resonator to just spam. It'll be 4 fossils, so you'll need a prime chaotic resonator, and you'll just spam. It is a 1 in 14 to get all 3 prefixes to land, but that means, I think, yeah, with a tier 2 chaos spell skill gems and a tier 8 spell damage. These are both the lowest. So it's a 1 in 14 to get something like this. If you want something better, it's lower chances, obviously. These are the only mods that really have a chance to land with this fossil setup. There is a chance to level socketed melee attack gems, but it's such a low chance because of one of the fossils are lowering the chance by almost 10 times. So you almost always get these when all 3 prefixes land. And of course, this is why, can I select this? Why you don't want to run a level 83 staff, because the chaos damage attack mod has a chance of rolling 2. It's still low, but yeah, you don't really want to mess with that. If this is your first staff, you probably could just settle here. Maybe you go one more time. I mean, see, we got better spell damage. But that's, wait, we're done. This staff is done. Landing the chaos damage over time multiplier, that's just like, you're done here. That's crazy. But that's not going to happen. And so what you're going to have to do is annul off a suffix, and you're going to protect the prefixes. Prefixes cannot be changed. And then you're going to Harvest Craft, Reforge, Chaos for a good damage over time multiplier. I would settle with a tier 3 or higher. There is a chance here. I mean, it's painful. So this is 2 divines every time I'm doing this. And then now the suffix is filled. So you would have to YOLO annul again. And obviously when I annulled earlier, if I annulled off a prefix, you would have to fossil craft again. So we hit a suffix again. So we're good. And then Reforge, Chaos, another bad one, another bad one. This is 2 divines every time. So, I mean, we hit tier 1, so it was worth it in the long run. You pog out. Maybe you wouldn't try that hard if you were settling with a tier 2 chaos spell skill gems. But yeah, really easy to just get these prefixes to appear in some fashion and then just fracture that on, or not fracture, but reforge that on and at least get a decent staff. On my staff, you can see, I'm only telling you this because I did it. I would highly suggest not doing it because I didn't realize the chances of failure were so high on it when I did it. But I annulled off the spell damage, luckily, and then I did prefixes cannot be changed, and I used a Veiled Chaos Orb. Obviously, this can hit suffix and not prefix, and then fill your prefix, so that's a chance for failure. And then when you unveil your prefix, you might not get spell damage or chaos damage. So there's just a lot of things that can go wrong in this craft. Like, let me see. No spell damage. No spell damage. No spell damage. So yeah, all those are failures. There's like 3 levels of failure there. So I would not do it for just a little bit more increased spell damage. I just did it because I didn't calculate it. It was just a bad idea. Okay, so that's the finalized build more or less. There's a little bit of optimization that I can do, but I probably won't. And I'll probably save up for another build. I will either switch to a whole new setup with almost all new gear for the Chaos build. I think this build's pretty maxed out. It's so tanky and so good, and the damage is, I mean, it's good. It's really good clear. I'm clearing T17s and 8 mod T16s just fine. The boss damage has a little bit to be desired, but I can kill Ubers and stuff if you have some gaming skill or know how to run the Ubers, I guess is the nicer way to say it. And then, yeah, I will leave an intermediate POB because that's the video I kind of skipped because I got too invested in farming and improving the build because I didn't know exactly where I was taking it, so I was thinking a lot, and that just takes up a lot of time. And yeah, you don't need a Watcher's Eye. I moved a lot of stuff on this part of the tree to get this here, and I only did this because I got the chance to avoid being shocked. I ran without ailment immunity until basically like level 98 and a half. You really don't need it that bad with Soul of the Brine King. It's obviously 100% chance to avoid being frozen. Poison's still kind of a problem on this build. I might solve that in some way. But we do have 75% chaos resistance. And this kind of solves our damage from critical strikes issue. I think we would very rarely get hit by a critical strike with this. Depending on how this is worded and what it really means, it says if you have taken a critical strike recently, if you block a crit, does it count as taking a critical strike? I don't know, but so most of the time we could like block a crit and then we would take no extra damage from like another crit if we did take damage. But this build can take a crit. Obviously not from something insanely massive, but we can take a crit and then not take more crits and we'll be just fine. So this kind of solves the crit issue that I was having. And then, yeah, poison is an issue, so got to solve that still if I really cared to take it all the way. All right, I'm going to do a map. I've been trying some imbued harvest and seeing if it's making me any currency. In the map, you'll see me swap between Soul Rend and Soul Rend of the Spiral. Soul Rend of the Spiral chunks my life a ton, but I've never really died from it. It's really not that big of a deal. But it does make the clear more mindless, so I like using it. And then when I go into the harvest, I'll use regular Soul Rend, because the harvest is scary. But yeah, here's the map mods. I'll try not to put the map over the game, but I just have a habit of doing it. But this is just a 16.5 map with just a lot of juice on it. I have to look at these. I don't know if I can tank these. I feel like sometimes you block them. But I don't know if I can live one if I don't block. 78% spell block, which I assume that's a spell. But every time I'm not even looking at the enemies, I'm just looking at items and other stuff. And kind of my health, because, you know, it is a little scary in this map. Can I take a volatile orb? I'm going to try just one. Oh, you can spell block them, so. I don't know. I think they changed that. I think there's a lot of things that made it so you couldn't block them before. I'm trying to take damage from one to see if I can live one with the nerfs and everything. I'm not doing this boring ass breach. The build's fine. You don't need to see this. You'll fall asleep or click off the video, I think. And we're not gonna hear a tink sound. We all know that. So I will take that though. Thank you. That's more loot than I would have got from that. Yeah, so I mean, I haven't really looked at the map. I might have missed some enemies here. So there's some enemies there. Grab this stuff back here because Eldritch enemies can spawn in those walls, and I want to get all the quantity. I might have missed a quant altar. I kind of just want to see if I missed any enemies. But like, you can see the clear is pretty good. I missed these guys, but they might have spawned like after I left. But yeah, I really haven't aimed at any enemies or anything. Rarity and stuff. Yeah, so really good clear. I haven't been paying attention at all. So let's go do the harvest. Let's hope it's decent. Wow, that's so great. That's so amazing. I can't wait to farm this harvest. But I like using this. It is a higher level, and then also it does have energy shield leech, unlike Soul Run of the Spiral, so it's a little bit more recovery. And yeah, we just profit. I mean, I'm definitely not losing like a divine and a half on this map. But that's just how Harvest goes. Alright, I haven't tried an Uber fight on this build yet, but the Eater's probably the one I'll embarrass myself the least on. So I'll try that one. Yeah, everything's good. I'll try and tank some stuff to see what happens. So if I die, I'll start dodging. Like, that's getting scary. I will use my Graft. I got the little tornado. It does extra damage as chaos. So yeah, alright. I mean, my damage is actually better than I thought it was for single target. It ramps up more and more because I don't have any withered application on the build besides being a cultist and the withered nearby that she does. Trying to walk out of those is the wrong idea. Oh, he shoots 3 times? Okay, thank God I have spell block. I'm just gonna sit in it. What about this? Okay, spell block. Hello? You can do it again. Okay, so I can probably tank 1 or 2 of those. I think just 1. Yeah, spell block's crazy. I think that's all we really proved there. Build can take a hit, and yeah. I got Jack.